It's always a balance of what else is on the bench. It's like the flip side to that is, are you going to keep Curry on the bench for, you know, and only give him 10-minute run out? Like he is a world class player. So I think from my side, like, yeah, I was often dragged into the 80 zone because we have a player like a Will Skelton or something like that at say Sarries. So you know that you're going to be doing an 80 rather than a 50, but then you get you get an unbelievable 50 out of someone else. So it's a balance of what you got on the field. I think it's very easy to pick a player and say, I'd like to see him play longer, but who are you going to take off? You're not taking off Underhill and Earl, or it's the flip verse of that. So yeah, I think I'm always a believer of getting subs on and subs on early. I think if you get in patterns of doing that, then unless someone gets injured, then you're a player who's more often not going to get 50 minutes, 60 minutes. You play to that 50, 60 minutes and you play your heart out. And then if something happens and you need to play the 80, then you dig in. But a pattern of bringing on people at the right times, with enough time to do something, is very encouraging from both sides, as long as it's sort of talked through and spelt out pretty early, and there's consistency in it.
Do you have any truck with the idea of actually really trimming the bench massively? Obviously having the front row replacements, but other than that, trimming off three players, a 5-man bench, something like that, to get an element of attrition back into the game?
There's arguments for both. Personally, I wouldn't. That means like potentially, 10 less players per team or whatever.
Yeah. Although they're heading in that direction at the moment anyway, George, if you look at the size of Premiership squads.
Well, it would only further decrease it then with the argument. But I think there's real sort of levels of tactician, real technical sort of decisions to be made. I think when you bring on bench, how you bring on bench, who you put on a bench. You look at, do you load up like a South Africa? Like, I like that. I think it adds an element to the game of like, of chess, and an element of pre-game sort of hype and excitement and thought and process, and how you build your week around that and so on. So I lean in favour, but completely understand the arguments against as well.